others. So first, we will introduce ourselves. This web of lesson is presented by me, myself, Ines, and Catherine and Berenau, also Momita. So in this web of class, firstly we will explain about the etiology of the epilepsy, such as four major group of the risk factor, and then we define what is epilepsy, and then we move to the pathophysiology, or how this disease happen or occurs, and that's pathophysiology and can lead to the sign and symptoms. It will be dealing with the clinical manifestation, and those things need to be testing by diagnostic test, and all of them will be linked to the nursing problems. We have three major of the nursing problems, and we will cover
Very popular.
epilepsy can result from four major categories: structural, metabolic, and infectious function.
Nggak bercanda kan?
Let's
Amel.
process. Epilepsy can occur because of genetic mutation or prognosal abnormalities. This genetic change affect the ion channel and receptor function in the brain, which play a role major in sending electrical signal to the neurons. When this signal do not work properly, it leads to abnormal cortical synchronization, meaning the brain cell fire in uncoordinated way. As a result, the child might accelerate the current on troubled seizure, even with any external stimuli. Some specific epilepsy syndromes, such as Dravet syndrome, GEFS-Lex, and Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, are known to be related to these genetic abnormalities. Over time, this continuous abnormal brain activity can cause developmental delay or cognitive impairment. Next, we have the structural causes. This type happen when there is a damage or malformation in the brain structure. For example, like perinatal brain injury, stroke, tumor, or trauma cause the localized cortical swelling or neuroma. This injury area will later form what we call an epileptogenic focus. It is a region of the brain where abnormal electrical activity stops. The abnormal discharge can then spread to other brain regions, leading to partial or generalized seizure. Some children with structural collapse may develop drug-resistant epilepsy, meaning their seizure do not respond well to medication. Next, we have the structural causes. This type happen when there is a damage or malformation in the brain structure. For example, like perinatal. The third category is metabolic causes. This happens when inborn error or metabolism or mitochondrial dysfunction. In this case, there is an accumulation or deficiency of important substances such as amino acid or glucose, which are essential for brain function. This imbalance has a neurotoxic or energy-depleting effect on brain cell. It also causes altered neurotransmitter synthesis and activity failure, making neuron more excitable. When this happens, the child may develop widespread neural hyperexcitability, leading to seizure, especially during a metabolic process like acidosis or. Finally, the infectious causes. Infections of the central nervous system, such as meningitis, encephalitis, or neurocytosis, can trigger epilepsy. This infection causes an inflammatory response that disturbs the normal cortical network of the brain. After the infection heals, neural injury and scarring remains. This can create chronic epilepsy, leading to recurrent seizure, a condition known as blood. Epilepsy is one of the most common chronic neurological disorders worldwide, according to the WHO. About 80 million people live with I have made the pathophysiology of epilepsy. Let us talk about the epilepsy. Epilepsy is a chronic neurological disorder that occurs due to abnormal and excessive electrical discharge in the brain. Normally, brain cells or thought communicate through controlled electrical cycles, but in epilepsy, it's causes of uncontrolled and excess, causing a sudden disturbance of brain function known as seizure. During seizure, the brain temporarily loses control of body movement, sensory function, and even automatic process such as breathing. This results in loss of motor control, loss of protective reflex, and uncontrolled body movement. The person may fall or hit surrounding objects, or loses consciousness, putting them at high risk of injury or fracture. When the abnormal discharge spreads through the brain, all muscles in the body, including the respiratory muscle, are active. This causes muscle stiffness or spasms, especially in the chest and diaphragm. As a result, the chest cannot expand properly, breathing becomes shallow, and ventilation decreases. This leads to carbon dioxide retention and oxygen depletion in the body, which increases intracranial pressure and worsens brain function. Because of the decreased oxygen supply during seizure, brain cells experience a short period of hypoxia. In children, repeated episodes of low oxygen can cause fatigue or even damage in the brain tissue. Over time, repeat seizure may lead to chronic neurological dysfunction, which affect the brain ability to process information, learn, and store memory. This condition can also delay motor coordination, speech, and overall development. In addition, patients who experience frequent seizures often need long-term medication and hospital care. The medication may cause dullness, lethargy, or decreased concentration. This affect reduced stimulation and social interaction, leading to decreased participation in school or daily life. In summary, the pathophysiology of epilepsy starts with abnormal electrical activity in the brain that lead to uncontrolled motor movement, impaired and decreased oxygen level. Here we continue to the clinical manifestation of epilepsy. The clinical manifestation of epilepsy can vary depending on the type of disease and the part of the brain affected, but there are some common signs and symptoms. So, neurologically, patient may experience sudden loss of consciousness or awareness, shivering of the body, and rhythm, jerking movement of the arm. Some patients feel an aura before the seizure, which might be a strange sensation, such a particular smell, sound, or visual. During seizure, breathing may become irregular or dissolved, and the patient's lips or face may turn bluish due to lack of oxygen. Some patients may bite their tongue or lose bladder control. After the seizure, they often enter a recovery phase called the post-vital stage, where they feel confused, tired, or even sleepy. Over time, people with epilepsy experience memory problems, including concentration and slower thinking. Children can show development delay such as slower speech, poor motor coordination, and learning difficulties. Physiologically, epilepsy can lead to anxiety, low self-esteem, or socially all due to fear or having seizure. Overall, epilepsy affects not to the brain, but also our physical.
Amin.
Social isolation related to fears of seizure, including limitation on social activities and stigma associated with epilepsy. For nursing intervention, the first one is encourage social participation, promote engagement in age-appropriate social and recreational activity, offering competition and study subject. Second one is facilitate discussion to encourage open conversation with the patient and family about feeling of observation and concern regarding epilepsy. Third is assist in planning for social activity, work with school or caregiver to develop a step plan for social interaction. The fourth is provide education to reduce stigma, educate family members, caregiver, and communicate about epilepsy to against the stigma and promote understanding. Fifth, monitor emotional well-being, watch for signs of withdrawal, depression, or low mood that is increases over time.
Before I explain the types of diagnostic tests, I would like to start with why the tests are needed in diagnosing epilepsy in children. Epilepsy is a condition that causes repeated seizures due to abnormal electrical activity in the brain. Because many other conditions can also cause seizure, like infection, metabolic problem, or stress brain abnormality. Also, the diagnostic tools are very important to find out the exact cause and type of seizure. The tests have the target to decide the best treatment and management of the child. Now let's look at the main diagnostic test we use in epilepsy. First, electroencephalogram or EEG is to detect abnormal electrical activity in the brain and also to determine the types of the seizure. This is one of the most important tools to confirm the diagnosis of epilepsy. Now we have second laboratory test. We have several labs that are done to find out the possible causes of conditions that are related to epilepsy. The first, white blood cell count, can find out if there is an infection. The glucose level is checked to see if the epilepsy was caused by the low blood sugar level or hypoglycemia, serum electrolyte, urea nitrogen, calcium, amino acid, lactate, ammonia, and uric organic acid have identified metabolic disturbance that can trigger epilepsy. Toxicology screen is to use to check for poisoning or exposure to harmful systems that are related to seizure. If the epilepsy is related to genetic cause, we have to detect the chromosome analysis. And the last, we have cerebrospinal fluid analysis, which is to confirm or rule out meningitis, we can also call seizure. And the third main diagnostic test, we have neuroimaging. Imaging has allowed the medical person to see the brain structure, like MRI have to detect cortical malformation, tumor, scarring, or cortical dysplasia. Like MRI, CT scan is used to identify cerebral hemorrhage, infection, tumor, or gross malformation. So overall, the tests work together to determine the cause, type, and severity of epilepsy in children, helping the medical person to select the most effective treatment. After confirming the diagnosis of epilepsy in child, the next important step in medical management. The main goal of the management is to control seizure, prevent complications, and help the child live as normally as possible. In this stage, the nurse play an important role in monitoring the child, administering medication correctly, providing family education, and supporting adherence to treatment. There are four main approaches to medical management. The first is anti-epileptic drug therapy. The drug helps to stabilize brain activity and prevent abnormal electrical discharge that cause seizure. Medication like carbamazepine, valproic acid, phenytoin, and phenylpheniramine medication is to treat epilepsy and seizure. The second is the ketogenic diet, which is high in fat, low in carbohydrates, and high adequate protein. This diet shifts the body from using glucose to using fat as the main energy source, creating a state we call ketosis that have the reduced seizure frequency. The third is trigger therapy. This option is used for children whose seizure cannot control by medication, especially when the cause is focal cortical dysplasia or mesial temporal sclerosis. Although surgery can be very effective, it doesn't always remove the need of medication. The last one is vagus nerve stimulation of VNS. This treatment is for patients with 12 years and older, patient with drug-assisted pregnancy.